Hello. Hey,
Hello.
everyone. Heather Jean here. I am joined by Maggie Perotin. I'm so excited. Maggie is a business and leadership coach and helps women entrepreneurs to grow their online business and service
Mhm.
businesses. And and Maggie has a very similar background to myself with corporate leadership experience. And so I'm so excited to be able to chat today with Maggie, get to know her more and hear her story, and also to find out about her services because, in Confidence Through Cabaret, we love a collaboration. So helping people find what it is that they need to be able to grow and to be able to follow their passions. So all things confidence. So welcome, Maggie.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, and you're coming to us from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I am.
Yes, love a fellow Canadian. Love a fellow Canadian. I'm in the UK, but I'm from Vancouver, so I'm a
Awesome.
so
That's
I'm a
nice.
West Coaster. Yeah. So it's always good to talk to another Canadian. And actually, I'm told that my accent changes depending on who I'm talking to. It's quite
And
funny.
you know what? It's funny because you mentioned Ontario and Quebec with such an ease. I'm like, wow, you know
Yeah.
what it is? And you're saying, I had
Yeah.
that thought, I was like,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I have a son who lives in Nova Scotia and a son who's lived in Vancouver for years. So yeah, I'm still very Canadian. Yes. So you are a business and leadership coach helping women entrepreneurs to grow their online service businesses. What does that mean exactly, Maggie?
What does that mean? So I would tell you what that means through my coaching model because it can
Oh,
mean many
great.
different things for many different people. But I develop a coaching model that really allows my clients to be successful in business because as you said, like I help service-based women entrepreneurs. So if you think about it, they might be web designers, they might be VAs, they might be tutors, whatever, social media managers. So they start their business because of their passion, right? I'm a great creative person. I want to design, I want to help people, my clients. And then they realize that that's great, but to actually find the clients and get paid, there's the whole other role that they need to do, like a business owner, the CEO, that they haven't thought about. And, talking about confidence is that usually, the challenges in growing the business, and with that, their confidence comes down and it depletes the confidence in their genius zone. And those two have nothing to do with each other, right? But that's just how our brain works.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, can I borrow the confidence from my genius zone to grow my business? And that doesn't come naturally. So, how I help them is I do help them. One of the things I do is help them definitely with their dreams, meaning the mindset and the belief about those dreams. And then, we learn how to plan in the business, how to create, like teach them the business skills. So the marketing and the branding, the pricing, figure out my business structure and how I want to deliver those services. And then we make it easy to implement through high performance habits. So how
Amazing.
am I focused and organized and create all that structure that I need to create for myself as a business owner? So I'm very effective with my time, but I still have the balance and have time for, my family, myself, whatever, my passions, cabaret, for example, right? And other things. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. So how did you get started in this? Because you have a corporate background, right?
yes, I do. So there's a story to
Ah, let's hear it.
that. So the story goes, I do have corporate background. So I've been in corporate world for 13 years. I've been leading people for a good chunk of those years. And so there was two things. The one event that happened is I actually almost burned out in the corporate world. So there were some tough times in my role, and I wasn't getting support that I was asking to get. And you working crazy hours. My kids were little. I was like working Saturdays and Sundays, like with no lights in the tunnel, and I really got upset at some point, saying like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
This is not sustainable. You can't do it. And if you don't take care of yourself, well, nobody will, right? In a way. So I kind of stood my hand, like I need to do something about it. And I signed up for high performance kind of coaching to help me organize myself even better. Not that I wasn't in the beginning, but like high performance habits are a totally new world. But through that, it started thinking, well, I need to do something for me also, right? Something like establish those boundaries and go with the things that I want to do, that I want to grow into, and so on. And one of those things was empowering mostly women, and helping them succeed. And, because I have all that business skill and background, that's how the Stairway to Leadership business coaching started.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's so wonderful. And you managed to stay in the business to business kind of model, which is something that you know so well.
Yeah.
And it's been an interesting pivot for me, because I've had a business to business working relationship with clients for over 25 years. And now with my online, or what we call in Confidence Through Cabaret, we call it stage life, because we all have a stage somewhere where we need to show up. And and now I'm business to consumer. It's quite a different model, I'm finding, as apart from the fact, and maybe that's not so much because I'm dealing directly with my consumers. Maybe it's more because I'm working online, because I find online is a very different world. Do you find it much different?
It is. And you know what? There is business to business. And yes, I do work business to business, but I work a lot with solopreneurs, so very small businesses, maybe agencies and so on.
Right.
You don't necessarily, when you're dealing with corporation and you're trying to gain them as clients, there's a whole different world out there, right? You need to deal with a lot of people, figure out who makes a decision and so on. Whereas in a small business or a solopreneur business, the owner is the business, right? So you are to an extent dealing like a consumer as well. So there's a little bit of both in that. Well, this is what I've noticed in my experience in a way.
That's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that before. You're absolutely right, because when I approach a business client, I am trying to find the business, the key stakeholders and the decision makers and so on. And you're absolutely right. When you're dealing with small or solopreneurs, then it does make it a lot more straightforward to sort of saying, what are your objectives, and am I the right person to help you? Yeah. So, and then the online world, so do you help people with navigating that?
I do. So it's definitely part of a confidence building as well, right? An online world, when you market your business and you are a solopreneur, you're it. And people want to do business with people, with human beings, with their stories. That's how we relate. That's how we remember. That's how we stand out, right? And that's scary to do. And it was even for me in the beginning, right? Like putting yourself on camera, and even starting with the picture, right? I remember such a big deal it was for me to put a picture.
Me too. I hated
it. because I'm usually the one taking pictures of my family. So I'm barely even on the family pictures. I'm the one, going out there, running in behind my kids and a smile here, smile there. So I remember first it took me forever just to I should put a picture of myself, and then gradually get into okay, I'm going to do a recorded video or live and so on. So, and then it's the same with my clients. When they start, not all of them are, not confident, but just feeling at ease and just going out there and talking about themselves and so on. And then in a service-based business, it feels like you're selling yourself, which... we have been told, don't stand out, don't boast, don't, focus on others, not on yourself. And that's completely different. And yes, you focus on your clients, but there's still that. So there is that portion. And then, knowing kind of what content to post, right? So, who is my client? What am I servicing? What is the content that I can post that's different? I don't like when people post the whole same thing, on the bandwagon with the templates, everybody posts the same quotes. This is not me. So when I work with my clients, I'm no, we need to post something that's you, that showcases you. So what to post, what things to talk about, and then also a bit of copywriting. So how to write things, and those are the online things that we sort of talk about.
Copywriting is a tricky one, because you do have to sound authentic, and a lot of us went through an education system. I mean, I went through a Canadian education system where we wrote in a different way. And certainly in England, my children went to school here. They learned there's a much different tone of voice when we write than when we speak. And now, of course, because we want to come across as our own tone of voice, then it makes a huge difference when we're coming across as our own voice. For a lot of people, that can be really hard to write and to get into that kind of copywriting of, being more casual or being more sounding more themselves.
Yeah.
And finding your tone of voice is something that, large businesses spend a lot of time and money on, So that copywriting is an invaluable skill that you're offering there.
Yeah, it is. And especially for the service-based entrepreneurs, right? Like whether, again, other coaches or like if you're a designer or a thing, like you are the voice of your company, you're the face, right? So I really believe that those type of businesses really should learn, write their own copy. You don't need to do it all. As the business grows, you can always outsource some of it, but you have to create some of that content yourself. But I will share one tip that I will share with my clients that, might help. Because of course you're right. Like the moment we start thinking about writing and we sit in front of our laptop, our mind kind of just changes, and either you have a block or you sound like a robot, right? So one tip I want to share is, there's so many amazing apps. Speech Notes is one of them. That's just you can talk to your phone and then it does typing for you. So then when you talk to your phone, writing your content, then you end up sounding more natural. And then all you need to do is, Speech Notes, write it up for you. And then you just correct, the mistakes, because when I speak with an accent, Speech Notes always makes, has some words that it misunderstands what I say.
Funny.
But then I just correct it, and that's one of the ways that it's, feels more natural. And then your writing is more natural because you're speaking instead of typing.
Okay, I'm getting speech notes.
Speech notes,
Speech notes, okay. I mean, I know that there are a lot. So I'm used to speaking. So, I run large conferences, and I'm used to in fact, teleprompter puts me off. So, but I know that there are lots of tools up there where you can type it out. I have an accountability partner. She has to type everything out, and then she uses that as her teleprompter. I tried it once. I'm much more organic. That has to come across in my tone of voice. So that's really interesting to have a tool like that, because that's the opposite, right? That instead of having a teleprompter where I've got to follow what I've said, it's now the opposite. I'm now saying I can speak how I want to speak, and then that's going to come across as me. So that's a really good tip. Yeah. So your programs then, are they kind of pre-made, and then it's a program that I would go through over a number of weeks, or is it all like individual?
So it's a little bit of both. I don't sell for now anything, just the program, because what I find, without the support, a lot of those programs have very low rates of success, just because it's very hard for people, or for a lot of people, to then, okay, I go to the program, but how do I implement in my situation, right?
Yeah.
So in my coaching, what I do, yes, I do have recorded videos, a number of them in 6 different modules. They're kind of like mindset and high performance and marketing and branding, whatever, a bit of finance too, because we need to know numbers, right, as business owners. That helps for that basic skill learning. But then we actually, in this individualized coaching, that's when we, adapt everything to each client. So then they really know easily, step by step, what they need to do. Like, we remove all those roadblocks that are there, and all they need to do is go out there and actually do it.
Brilliant. I love that kind of mix of training and coaching. And, that's, most of us by now have bought courses before, and magically they don't do the things themselves. We have to actually implement them. And then you're going, well, I understand what they're saying, but I don't know how to do that. And then we just move on to the next thing. And, if we have a little bit of an imposter voice that's saying, we'll just go get another thing, or you're not enough of an expert yet, then that just feeds it. So that's really great to have that hybrid. That's amazing. And so your stage life is very much in terms of social media, and in terms of connecting people with people that way. That's amazing. That's amazing. So do you spend a lot of time on social media yourself?
You know what, I don't. I don't. What I do, definitely, you know, I have a group, right? So in my Facebook group, so I do spend time preparing content, but I write it off social media and then I schedule it. And even on my Instagram, I have an Instagram account. And then yes, if I do a live training or kind of motivational things and so on, then I go live. But of course I prepare ahead of time. But I'm like you, I don't use prompt times. I prepare, I read, and then I go out there and speak. I think teleprompter would totally throw me off.
Yeah, I think it's great if you're an introvert and you need to really think about what you want to say and you want to read it back and so on. Then that's great. But you and I are much more of we think out loud. It just comes out. So it's the opposite. So it's interesting. But there are so many great tools out there to find what that pretty much anybody can go live or have that stage life and that stage presence. And I would say the preparation is important. I'm glad you say that, because a lot of people just go live and then they go, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to say. And I think, okay, bye.
No. You need to, and like for me, it's a respect for my audience, right? I'm still a professional. I want to be authentic. I don't want to sound like a robot, but I'm still a professional coach that wants to help the clients, and I have a respect for their time. So I don't want to have a 5-minute talk in a 30-minute live just because I didn't think about it ahead of time and I don't know what to talk, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it goes both ways. It's a respect for your audience to prepare and bring something of value to them. And it also is stress reduction, right? Like it's very stressful. And I think it would be for me not being prepared and trying to figure things out on the go, as opposed to having just a bullet points. Okay, well, this is what I'm going to talk about. This, I thought this through before, and now I'm going. And I didn't, so how do we say, like, I don't remember it by heart, but I know exactly what I'm going to talk about, and it has a logical sort of sequence to it. And then I'm going to go and really serve my audience, as opposed to just being live, right? There's a difference of, I'm just live, like a reality show, as to I'm there to serve.
Yes. Right? I love that you say that.
I am.
Yeah, I love that you say that about respecting people's time, because it's not just, I'm just here, I'm in my garden, and I'm just going to talk because I'm supposed to show up. That's not the same thing. Having said that, if you have never gone live and you do that because you need to do that, then fair play, do that. Like really do that, because that's a good place to start. And I would even say like places like Clubhouse, where you don't even have to be like on camera. And there's no like texting or anything. It's just audio. It's just live. It's just once you've said it, it's gone. I would say those kind of places are so great if you're not used to it. But you're right. If you're actually going to add value, that's kind of the point of having social media, right? I found it really interesting that, I'm used to speaking to big audiences, and I've done this for decades. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. And then I went on Facebook Live and there would be like no audience, and that was interesting. Or even if there were audience, they would be in the comments. And I find that really interesting, because as an extrovert, I like to draw energy from being with people. Like I'd way rather be here with you, Maggie, where I can see you and we can, rather than it just being audio or you messaging or me messaging. It's just, I just enjoy that interaction. And I wonder, do you cover things like, how to get more people onto your lives with in part of your program?
I do. Yes, I do.
That's
because
great.
You're right. It's sometimes the thing that you think people might not be watching, but they are. They're not necessarily going in. And there's a lot of quiet listeners that sometimes, and even I have them, that sometimes, I get a message, or I've gotten even clients from people who say, you know what, like, I've been watching you, I've been following you for a while, and I've never seen a post, like a comment on there. I've never seen them on my live, and yet they were watching. Okay, so social media is different, where people can sort of, it's not like in the theater, you go and you sit and your bum is there.
Yeah.
You can see you, right? You can sort of, people can hide the present, and that's people are, more introverted people that are even scared to comment. They will watch you and they will still get value, but not necessarily show you that they're there. So that's one. But yes, I do teach how to draw the audience. Consistency is definitely like one of the top things that you need to do on social media, showing up consistently. But yeah, and I agree with you. Like even doing a live with the comments, for me, feels better than, for example, recording myself just on the video and pretending I'm speaking to an audience and then having no feedback whatsoever. It's like, so when I was recording the courses, that like main portion of the course, that was my challenge, because I wasn't getting any feedback, right? Yeah.
I did, when I did my first course, I had, because we're using StreamYard.
Mm-hmm.
And so with StreamYard, if you haven't seen it before and you're listening, you can have guests that are in the green room. So they're not on camera. They can disappear. They can see you. You can see them as the host, but they don't appear. And so I did actually have someone in the green room watching and responding and reacting, just so that I had someone to be talking to. And it was very helpful. But you can do, if you don't have that, you can always have somebody sitting in a chair behind your laptop, and you just have to be careful of your eye contact and things if that's really important for you. But it is that energy, and that essence of you that can be really hard to convey when you're recording and you're just looking at a green dot the whole time. So, but isn't that interesting that, people always think, oh yeah, it's easy for you. It's like, no, we all have this, right? We're all working through this.
Yeah.
So leadership then. So I know you have corporate background, and we talked about that. How does leadership come into it when you're working with sort of solopreneurs and or small businesses? Because I mean my whole world is leadership, and I work with managers around what does it mean to be a leader, and what are the skills and so on. So how does the leadership kind of feed into your program and your business?
So in actually many ways, because I believe we're all leaders. I do. Okay. Right. As human beings, we're all leaders. Sometimes we lead family, but we need to start with ourselves. Like for me, leader leads by example, and you can't lead by example if you can't lead yourself. So even building that trust and relationship with yourself as a business owner, right? Like, because I work with the business owners, and doing what you say when you're going to do, right? Keeping your own promises. Then that comes with the time management, but it really starts in that leadership, right? If I committed to something, and even if it's to myself, and that's sometimes the hardest to do, right? When we commit to a client, to a best friend, we always sort of keep that promise, but to ourselves, it's not that easy. But starting there, that's what helps you actually become very effective with your time in your business, with the creativity and so on, and then grow your business to the point where you need employees and be ready, or collaborators, whatever, and be ready to actually lead them. And in a way, when you're a service business, and again, especially if you're a coach and you have some sort of thought leader, then you're leading your audience. You need to lead them too, right? That creating that movement or whatever. Let's say you're a health coach and you really believe in certain things that you teach, and how you want to help people. So you're creating that movement. Well, you are a leader, right?
Yes. I mean, leader is somebody that people follow. So, and that doesn't have to mean that you're, at the top of something like a lot of times people think of leadership roles as being, top of a corporation or whatever, but it is about people follow. And I love what you said earlier, tying that in with, that people are often following without you knowing. They're paying attention to what you're doing. They're sharing your journey. You just aren't even aware of it. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. When I saw this funny post, I think it was a post, but it was a picture of like one person talking to themselves and kind of like carrying the message. And they said, okay, well, this is a crazy person. But then the one person came in and started listening, and it's a leader, right? So all it takes is have one follower and you become a leader. You're leading that person.
That's amazing. I've heard some very successful, like highly successful, kind of Tony Robbins kind of grouping, talk about how, they ran things for one person. And there was somebody, I can't actually remember who it was, but it was a female entrepreneur talking about, she was leading these tours, like physical tours with people. And one person went to her first one. And she said, I could have canceled, but I went, and I did the thing with the one person. And then other people, were watching and said, I want to come to the next one. And, so, and, when you think about, I've only got 10 people on my course or whatever, it's like, but if you put those 10 people, if I put those 10 people in my living room, I'd be really happy with that. I mean, it would seem like a lot. I'd have lots of things to say, so. Yeah. So I do think we get too hung up on numbers and likes and follows and all of those kind of things. It gets a bit crazy. Tell me about, a lot of people are using sort of VA service, and you mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
And we were talking about things like tone of voice and so on. How do you transfer that over? Because if our ultimate aim is to grow our business so that we are leading a larger business or a more successful business, how do we start to transfer to some of that over without reducing the integrity of the brand?
Yeah, so that's, it is challenging. And then again, especially depending on, what type of service you provide and so on. So you can definitely start, like I would say, start with VA services to not write the content, but maybe prepare it, edit it, research hashtags, schedule it, do graphics, whatever, right? And then ask the person, and if you do want to, let's say, outsource some of your content, I wouldn't say like you can't have your VA do a video for you. You need to be in the video. But maybe some written content and so on. As they get to know you, they get to read the content you create, and then you train them and so on, then they can maybe start trying to understand your business, what you're all about, understand your clients. Then you can slowly, I would say, have them write things, right? But you would need to be there to train them and oversee. So as you say, that brand message doesn't get lost, and you don't create a different brand just because it's a different person writing. So it's definitely tricky, but so it needs to be gradual, unless you hire somebody like super great copywriters that have that they're experts and they know exactly what to do for your brand not to lose that, right? So I guess it also depends who you hire.
Yeah. You do need to take a lot of care to find the right person or people to do that. And so if I don't have time to do my social media is my absolute nightmare. It's like, how do I have so much content. So I'm the opposite of what a lot of people kind of say. I don't have any content. I have just a ridiculous amount. And so it's finding the right thing. But then, it's all of that, posting it and finding the right graphic and so on. And, you think, oh, well, I'll hire somebody and then they'll take that away. But you're right. You do have to work with them. And so you don't gain all of that time back for a while. You've got to.
You need to invest, right? You need to invest your time in your, employee or subcontractor to then gain it. Right? No matter what, it's like learning a new skill. You need to invest time in that skill to then gain that time. But again, it's your business. You want it to be cohesive. You want it to serve your audience the best. So we do need to a little bit invest. But again, it does depend on on the experience, if you hire somebody who's experienced, work with people like that, you might be paying higher rates, but then, it takes less time to bring them up to speed. If you're deciding to hire maybe somebody more junior, the rates are lower, but then it requires more time for them to get up to speed.
I mean, that's the same with any job, even if you're working in corporate life, that's how that works.
Yeah,
exactly. Absolutely. You get an apprentice, it'll take a little while, and that's the investment. Yeah. Okay, so Maggie, I wanted to shift gears a little bit and take you into the world of cabaret.
Okay.
Are you familiar with cabaret? Have you been to a cabaret?
You know what? I haven't been to a live one. I would love to. Like, one of my dreams is to go probably to Moulin Rouge. That would be great.
Me too.
But I am familiar. I haven't seen like a real deal show live.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's the one thing where, when people join Competence Through Cabaret community, they'll say, I had to look up what cabaret is. And then I have to say, I'm not going to teach you how to do that. I mean, I can, and we have a member site that has sort of master classes that talks about, more business and work life sort of stuff. But I have actually by popular demand done some, chair dancing and flow working and things, workshops on there as well, because people are like, I really want to learn how to do this. And my intention is never to teach people how to do cabaret. It's more to just make them feel comfortable in their body, because we want to be able to take up space. We want to be able to feel good. And even if our body isn't where we want it to be, we still have to love it how it is today. And for me, for everything, cabaret is for everybody, but that is my favorite part of cabaret. So there isn't anybody that, would say, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too this size or that size or whatever. It's just not a thing. And so I love that. I love that about cabaret. So if you were going to perform in a cabaret act, and like cabaret can be anything from dance, singing, comedy. I mean, any comedian you can name started in a little cabaret, some little basement or some sort of, they all talk about the dive that they used to work in, and so I mean, those are all cabaret, right? The real distinction is very often about the small venue, and so actually, arguably, Moulin Rouge has its roots in cabaret, but is now huge.
Yeah.
It's like a massive version of a cabaret number. So, but if you were going to perform in cabaret, what one prop would you want to take on stage with you?
One prop?
Yeah,
probably a chair. You can do a lot of things with a chair. Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. I mean, the thing is with a chair is that you can I mean, chair dance is a whole thing, right? You can dance with it. You can sit and move your legs and cross your legs. It's just so much fun. And also it gives you an opportunity to be able to set sort of different temperament as well, because you could be more like aggressive, or you could be more genteel and soft, and you can play with it. So I like the chair. That's nice. That's nice. You could I'm just sort of picturing you could put your legs across one arm. That'd be fabulous. Okay, and what is your stage name? What are they introducing you as?
Oh, gee, that's a tough question. I have no idea.
You do know. It's in there. You know it. And in fact, you've already said it to yourself, probably.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you probably did. Okay, so I'll tell you something funny that you and I didn't discuss before we recorded this. When we met as Helen. And I forgot to tell you that, oh no, my name is Heather. I know, and that is because Helen is my stage name. So I have socials that I had set up because I'm an aerial and cabaret burlesque performer. So I had Helen set up years before as part of my aerial world and so on. And I didn't really want to bring that into the mainstream. I didn't, I was working with corporate clients. I didn't really want them to see me doing things, I didn't want them to prejudge me running a conference. And so I set up this account as Helen. And then when I started Confidence Through Cabaret, then I set up as Heather, and my Helen is still running, and the algorithm works that people will say, hey, would you like to be friends with Helen? And I'm good with that because I'm comfortable with it. And I think they're very different energies to them. And I recently revamped Helen. I was Helen Back for years. And that reflected my own kind of history and background. And there was a lot of aggression and angst and pain, and I liked to make things feel uncomfortable, and and that kind of gave me power to take up space. And then during the pandemic, I thought, I don't want to reflect that character anymore. It's still part of me. It always will be, but I want to be able to play with more subtle kind of temperament. When you think about things like leadership, there are different temperaments, and there are different things that you need to apply, and there are different ways that, of communicating, different ways. And sometimes people need more support. Sometimes people need more direction. Sometimes, all of those. And so that's what I love about the stage persona, is kind of like what informs what we need to be aware of and doing as our energy. So that's why I ask you that question. What is your energy? What would your stage?
It's hard, but my husband was telling me yesterday. So I'm gonna share. I'm gonna be vulnerable here. So I can be extroverted, but I'm usually calm. Like I am a calm person. And even through my corporate world, because we deal with so many crazy things, that I learned to be really calm, so I can react, so I can make quick, good decision when there's emergency going on and so on. Right. So to most people know me as this kind of calm Maggie, who, talks and doesn't have a problem talk or share her idea, but it's usually calm. But I can be crazy, not crazy. I can be this person, a goofy person. And it usually comes out when I'm really around family, people who I love, who I'm very comfortable with. And still in person, I still haven't figured out how to show it in a camera. It just doesn't, it's not like I'm holding it back, but it's just not coming out.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the name would be. I would have to think about it, but that's definitely something I could show in Cabaret. That sits in there, that doesn't show up too often.
Amazing. And maybe it is something like Crazy Maggie. You know what I mean? Like something that's sort of, it's the same name, but just like a descriptor that just plays.
Yeah.
And I love that because, there are times, like certainly in the corporate world, we're very much encouraged to fit in with the culture and do the thing, right? Like that's what we're supposed to do. And then we're not supposed to. So I never showed vulnerability in my work because I felt like my clients didn't want me to, because then they would think, well, if she's vulnerable, we're all in trouble, So I would be like, yeah, I got this. You get to be vulnerable. It's fine. That's what I got paid for. But and then there were a few times, because my husband passed away about 2.5 years ago. And it happened while I was away running a conference.
Oh, wow.
So I had to tell them. And then it kind of came out, and then the whole client was a massive pharmaceutical company. So then all of the clients within there, the stakeholders, they all came to know, and they all sent me lovely messages, and it was great. But it changed the kind of persona that I was engaging in. And it wasn't that I was being fake, it was just that I had boundaries around what I chose to share and didn't. And I think that's a good thing in business, to have those boundaries. But I also think it's fun to be able to play and to be able to be, goofy Maggie. It's fun. It's really fun, And I think it's endearing because we can get to know you, and we can feel like we connect, and That's so wonderful. So I'm expecting to see some sort of a live, Maggie, where you're just doing something random.
I don't have problems, especially with my clients, to crack jokes and like do, some humor, but I don't know if like I definitely need to like just let myself go and just let it come out naturally, right? Because I do it mostly in an environment like with people who I love, and it's a different relationship, right? It's a different relationship. Love for your family is different than love for your clients and who you help and so on, right?
Yeah. And I think, you can do it. You can be playful and do a touch of that. Okay, so where can we find you online?
So the easiest way is probably on my website, www.stairwaytoleadership.com. And that's where I have the links to my social media, link to my Facebook group. So that's probably the easiest way to find me.
Amazing. And what's your Facebook group called?
Women Entrepreneurs with Passion for Life. And then number 4, it's 4.
Brilliant. But if you go to stairwaytoleadership.com, then you can find Maggie wherever she is. Reach out if you are someone that is either don't know where to start, or you want someone to work with you through this, or probably I'm going to say, even Maggie, am I right in saying somebody who maybe has stalled, like they started and then they stalled and then reach out, because the main way that my imposter syndrome shows up is I don't like to ask for or accept help. Right? That's a really uncomfortable thing for me. And for a lot of us, we're struggling, and it's so much more effort and it's so much harder, and sometimes we don't even get there, so we need a guide, and we need someone to take us through, and we need someone to just show us the way. So do reach out to Maggie, get in touch on the website or find her on the social medias, and it's worth it to have a guide. I wish I had a guide when I started. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I just always felt like I was in over my head.
And it's funny that you just said like that imposter syndrome shows up as not wanting to get help because we think that we should know it all. I actually wrote a copy on this just this morning. So I have this little habit where I just sit down and write things. So from my own experience, my clients, whatever I see, and this is exactly what I wrote today.
Amazing. You see, we were meant to talk. We are very similar, Maggie. I have loved having you to chat with today. I really have. And I do hope you come back and share with us, how you're getting on. I love to, I think it's great in a podcast when you find somebody interesting and then you reach out to them. I think that's wonderful. And that's my true hope, is that people reach out and that we can collaborate but I also like to check back in and kind of go, it's not just like okay, nice to meet you, bye. It's like, let's check back in. Let's see what's going on. Let's,
Totally.
So I would love to do that with you. Yes. But in the meantime, get in touch with Maggie and find out where she is, and then follow the crazy, goofy journey and find out what Maggie does with this. I'm very excited. We might even see something involving a chair. Who knows?
Who knows?
You don't know. She might get inspired. Thank you so much, Maggie. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and hearing your story.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
It's been a pleasure. It really has. So this is Heather Jean, and I'm reminding you that it is your body, your world, and your stage. Take up space, own it. Thank you, everybody. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.